We're good.
I'll call this meeting to order. Okay, ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Kathy, roll please.
Mayor Compton,
Yes. Here.
Brian Zetz.
Here.
Jamie Nicholson.
Here.
Okay, we have a forum present. First off, we'll start off with our organizational meeting.
Did you have any appointments yet?
No. No appointments as of right now, so everything stays the same? All right. Any desire to change anything as far as the adoption of Robert's Rules of Order?
We'll use Bob's.
Bob's?
Bob's rules.
Okay.
Bob. A little less formal.
Okay, and we'll stay with our Robert's Rules of Order. We all right with the schedule of meeting dates and times? Any
I think so.
discussion? Okay. Approval of August 20th, 2018 minutes.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Mr. Nicholson,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Zetz. Discussion and roll.
Mayor Compton,
Yes.
Brian Zetz.
Yes.
Jamie Nicholson.
Yes.
Okay, motion, or the minutes are approved. Any reports?
No reports other than the forms that you have in front of you that have been submitted.
Okay. Any unfinished business? Since we're
No.
starting out the new year, we wouldn't have any unfinished business. Any new business?
So are these, is this RC2, are they asking us to approve and
Yes.
changes? And are the
Yes.
red what has been
Yes.
changed?
I took a look down and I know there was page 3, the water and sewer contracts and agreements.
Yeah.
They moved that back to 10. I double checked that. That will be okay because the statute of limitation in Ohio for action on a contract is now 8 years. Well, it's been that way for a while, but it's
Okay.
8 years. So, pulling
10 years.
yeah, I double checked when I saw it got back down to 10. I wanted to make sure we'd be okay, and we would be. So,
But item 31 on that same page, water and sewer deposit records, it says until audited by the state of Ohio. Generally speaking, we are required to keep 2 years post-audit. So the audit's done and then it's 2 years past that.
okay.
For whatever reason, I don't know. So we keep things 2 years post-audit.
Well, is that with respect to all things? Because I know there's a couple of other things where they have
Bank statements, checks, deposits, things like that.
water and sewer bill journals. I'm not sure
Um,
what that is, but
Journals are the reports, basically, the billing statements and the reports that are generated because of the billing statements going out. That's probably okay.
okay.
And it doesn't matter, it says until allotted by the state of Ohio. Now, we have an IPA firm, does that make a difference? They're under the auspices of the state of Ohio.
I would say that does, because I think that's sort of this. I would say that's one and the same. You know,
Okay.
you're the odd,
Whoever's
Perry and
in it.
Associates, whoever does it is doing it
Okay, on behalf of.
on behalf of the auditor's office. So, were there any other ones that you thought, other than the water and sewer deposit records, that should be 2 years after?
Invoices, I'm assuming, the originals come to finance for payment. So, I'm assuming these would be copies of invoices. Because the originals would come to finance for payment. I'm sorry, I'm on page 4, I guess. It's number 34, invoices paid. The second item down. I'm assuming those are copies of invoices.
Well, I guess because these are council records.
No,
I
no.
thought this was utility.
She didn't change that council record, it's utility.
Okay, so it is
billing.
utility.
Yes.
This is
All right. Well, I guess either way, it's not
relating-
yours.
This is all related to utility.
Right,
Our utility, nothing outside of our realm, right?
right.
So when it says water and sewer contracts and agreements, that has nothing to do with anything but
Utility.
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 internally.
Yes.
and,
Not
Mark.
Southwest Leaking Sewer.
No. We're talking about our water, so
All our stuff.
Chris and
Okay.
Stephanie and all those
Okay,
guys.
okay.
So the invoice paid, assuming that they keep copies of invoices, and so I might indicate that these are copies of invoices
Okay,
on number 34, because the originals will come to us, and they can get rid of their copies whenever they want. Purchase order, yeah, again, those are gonna be, yes, purchase order copies, those are her copies.
What about the water and sewer billing adjustments 39? Should that be plus 2 years?
Yeah, that's probably a safe,
Just thinking of my
yeah.
phone.
Same with number 37, a couple back up,
Oh, sorry.
water and sewer receipt books.
Okay. What would a project file be?
I mean, I'm guessing, but I'm assuming it's something along the lines of when we had the pump of new press come in, is a good example. Copies of agreements and email and drawings and that kind of thing.
Estimates.
See, now if we issue debt for that kind of stuff, I keep the debt file permanently. So as far as that, the money spending on it, you know, getting the money, that's covered somewhere else.
Well, I was looking at it because they say until project complete, and my first thought is, well, if there's ever a
Or
claim,
a claim,
if
yes.
there's ever litigation, 2 years is a general kind of statute of limitation, unless it truly was on a contract, then you really should keep it 8 years,
Right.
at least.
So if they're just administrative documents, basically, you know, I guess if you're talking about correspondence between yourself and the company, let's say, and drawings and things like that, I guess until project completed seems awful soon.
It does, I mean, that's just, well, because what if there's just some, not even litigation, just some issue a few months after.
And you pull the file and you say, this is what you said, you told us you'd
Right.
put bolts here and you didn't put bolts here.
And new press is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Why would you get rid of it
Now.
as soon as the project's over? You may have warranty issues
Right.
or.
And if they've got duplicate copies of things, that can get, you know, copies can be got out of as soon as administratively possible. But I guess I'm thinking, how's it any different than the contract?
I don't think it is.
So I guess I'm thinking that it would follow the same lines as the contract? Would that make sense? Because if we're gonna make a claim on a contract for breach or whatever,
Right.
you probably need to have that project file in your hand to show.
You would have to.
I mean, if you throw it away or shred it, you know, a month after the project's done and they walk out the door,
Right.
you might have some troubles.
so how would you like that one reworded?
Would it be the same as the contracts? Would it be the same
So you
as
say 10 years after project
10 years?
completed?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it'd be 10 years after.
Or that one, we could say, might be able to say 8, since the contract would be 8, right?
You could, I mean, 8 would give, well, the thing, to make it consistent, I would
Yeah.
make it 10, just to make sure they don't. So that should be 10, so 41 should say 10 years after project completed.
What else did you want to change? Anything else?
Did we talk about 45? That should be the,
Water and sewer billing journals.
I want those to be audited +2.
Yeah, I think so.
Because just because something's audited doesn't mean that a problem doesn't pop up. Look what happened in Grove City with the theft from the assistant finance director
Right.
down there. You know, it was audited, but then when they went back to pull the records were gone because they were allowed to be destroyed.
Right.
The rest of that looks fine with me. The only question I had, the rate schedule, number 42.
Still super.
Does it make sense to never have, in essence, you would never have any historical records to show previous rates? You know, does that make sense to just as soon as you supersede it, you don't worry about it anymore and you don't care about it. I
I
don't know.
wonder what that was before she changed it to until superseded. I mean, I see what you mean, it's like then you could, literally, you would get rid of all the rate history.
There is one place that you would find those changes, and that's when we codify our ordinances.
True.
Uh,
Council will have to adopt
that-
the rates.
That, ordinance contains those replacement pages, and
Yeah.
you can follow it.
It has the previous price, well, I guess, yeah. the
Well,
previous
you're-
one.
But once you replace the pages,
Yeah.
the old pages are gone.
No, but like, if you replace the pages in 1988, and then not again until 1990, you still have that listing, what it was. You can still go back and
To
find it.
88, and
Mhm.
that's where.
You're able to go back and pull those.
Yes. Those are
Because I know
permanent.
when I
Those are a
supersede
permanent
pages,
record.
I pull them out and I throw away the old pages.
Right, well, that's what I say, so you say you keep the old, you keep, when
A
you
set of
replace.
replacement pages with the ordinance each time we codify.
Yeah, we got a full set of
Mhm.
everything we've ever done, so.
Yeah,
we can
I've
go
got a
back.
Okay.
copy of each replacement pages
Right.
over the years since I've been doing it, so.
Oh, so you could go back to the original version of anything
Right.
and find it. Oh,
Right.
no, I didn't realize that. That was a good
Yeah,
point,
I mean, that's fine. I mean, we're talking about probably a single piece of paper, so
but- Right,
I can't imagine storing it cumbersome, but, whatever.
okay, I guess as long as we can find.
As
Yeah,
long as we can go
those
back and get
replacement-
historical.
Those replacement pages are part of the ordinance when we adopt those replacement pages.
So if we wanted to see the water rate from 82,
Well, we weren't codified by then, we were using a different system. We didn't have codified ordinances, we
And
had,
when
there
did
was
we start?
another term for it, but all it did was update the state laws, and you still had to go back to all the ordinances. It wasn't until, it was when Bill Hayes was here as law director, was the first time we had codified ordinances. And we had to go back through all the ordinances from the beginning of time, and then create that original document, and then we went from there codifying each year.
I'm guessing that if we need to find rates, we can probably get rates from the utility. I'm sure they have it. I'm sure they can probably find them, even though officially it says those documents can be until superseded. I guess I don't have a major issue with that. But it just, the thought being, kind of like payroll reports that are permanent. You can always find out how much somebody got paid
Right.
15 years ago. But that's fine. Utility department, my guess is they're gonna maintain some file on what their rate history has been. Because if they're gonna look for a rate increase, they're gonna probably have to have some of that stuff. So,
Ask Steph, when you get a chance.
yeah.
See
So,
how she would, approach that question.
right,
If somebody said, hey, what were your rates in 82, could you look those up, or
Right.
something like that, or have
Okay.
a piece of paper that says, hey.
so I'm okay with that, I guess for now. Well, I'll have a conversation with Steph and Chris
Okay.
and find out, if somebody were to ask, let's say we start proposing new rates and the standard wants to do a story about rates over the last 20 years, what have
Right.
rates been, can we get that information? Can we find that information? I'd hate to lose the history if we don't have other sources. My guess is probably the billing system has some of that history in there,
Right.
so. Okay, yeah.
Is this something that you wanna amend here, or do you want
I'm okay with it
her
going.
to come back with a clean copy at our next meeting, or?
No, I think I'm okay to approve as amended.
I'm okay to approve as amended, yeah, as long as, Kathy, as long as you got down the ones we
Yes, I do.
added to.
And then I'll talk to staff, and if there's a concern by Chris on that one, if he thinks maybe we should keep it longer, we'll come back at the August meeting and
We'll,
amend it.
we'll have a clean copy, I'll send it to you, Brian, so you can look it over before the mayor signs it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, because nothing's gonna happen, they're not gonna get rid of any record between now and then anyway, so.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
we-
and so if I have the
And
question, there's a
this whole
concern.
process
we'll change it.
takes,
Yeah,
it takes a number of months, once you send this to the state, they have to send it to the auditor as well as the Ohio Historical Society, and they have to all sign off and come back before it's ever effective.
Okay. All right, we could do it that way, yeah, that's,
Plenty of time.
all right. Well, any other ones then?
No, that's it.
All right. Wanna make a motion to approve as
Yeah.
amended?
Are you making it or you want me to make it?
I'll make a motion, we approve the, RC two as amended per our discussion here.
Got a motion on the floor. from
Second.
Mr. Zex, seconded by Mr. Nicholson. Discussion?
Just make sure that when we do the clean copy, that we change the section E, the
Yeah.
top, the title is water and sewer utility.
Yes.
Roll please.
Zets,
Yes.
Nicholson,
Yes.
Compton,
Yeah. Any other new business? Okay, take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Nicholson,
Second?
seconded by Mr. Zets. Discussion and roll.
Jamie Nicholson,
Yes.
Mike Compton,
Yes.
Brian Zets.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
That's gotta be probably one of our most workful
I was
meetings
gonna
we've
say,
ever
I
had.
feel good, we really did real work today.
We got into some in-depth discussion.
You know, we actually had a discussion about something.